Hello world, welcome back to the Dweebitron channel. In this episode we will be talking about Pyrex, the significance of signatures, celebrity stuff, and last but not least, pens and pencils. But first, let's take a quick look at what sold recently. This KitchenAid mixing bowl sold this week. If you remember, we had one of these last week that sold. I had this one ready and waiting because when you list a similar item, you don't have to rewrite the whole listing. You just use your old listing and modify it a little bit. I got this bowl for $3.99. It sold for $34.95 within just a couple of days. Mixer parts are easy money. We talked about this chicken wire nappy last week, and at the time it just had one bid at $38.75. It ended up garnering 5 bids total and sold for $46. Another one of the openers from that big lot I purchased sold this week. It featured a refrigerator magnet on one side and on the other side advertising for the Dairy Queen in Staten, Oregon. Also, this glass bowl shaped like a leaf sold this week. It was made by an Italian art glass company named Yallo Scassa. I had never heard of them until I purchased this bowl. I thought this was an antique piece of glass known as chocolate glass, called that due to its color, but it turned out to be a piece of modern chocolate glass instead. That's okay. It sold for $25 and it sold locally, making it very inexpensive to ship. Pyrex is the first thing we will be talking about today. Pyrex was first introduced in 1915 and soon began making all kinds of kitchen glassware. Their casserole dishes, mixing bowls, and cookware have all become quite collectible. The market for some of the rarer patterns has been especially hot recently, as evidenced by this mixing bowl with a drizzle pattern on it that sold for $2,650, or this blue and gold pan that sold for $3,850. I found this double boiler from Pyrex's Flameware line at an estate sale. I bought it for $5 and I expect to get around $50 for it. Most of their Flameware pieces sell pretty well, but people collect all the different types of Pyrex. I've even sold Pyrex glass telephone line insulators like you used to see on the top of telephone poles years ago. The moral of the story is that if it says Pyrex on it, then you can probably resell it. Be careful of faded colors, however. A bowl that has only been through the dishwasher a few times might look pretty nice until you put it next to some brand new pieces and the loss of color becomes more apparent. Up next is this mid-century modern cocktail pitcher. Mid-century modern is a term they use to describe the style of items in the 50s and 60s for the most part. I knew this was a mid-century piece when I saw it by the decoration, but I didn't know how to look it up until I noticed that it had a little signature that says Culver. That makes all the difference. And really my whole point of this section is the thrift stores don't notice a lot of the marks, and I have found everything from Tiffany to Waterford, all kinds of neat things that they would have marked much higher had they seen the mark on them. So look closely for marks. If you see one of these mid-century looking pieces of glassware with lots of heavy gold, look for a signature. Many of these companies that did heavy gold designs in that time period marked their pieces. Culver is just one of them. Another one of my favorites is Georges Briard. I've bought and sold a lot of their pieces and they do pretty well. So watch for signatures and marks that the thrift stores might not have noticed. It almost goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, that anything with a celebrity image on it or related to a celebrity in any way is collectible. I got this Hank Williams Jr. corkscrew wine opener when I bought the Pyrex double boiler. I paid $5 for the double boiler and they threw this corkscrew and a fishing knife in with it for free. It's probably not worth a whole lot, but I'm going to put it up for auction, and it's small, easy to photograph, easy to ship, practically free money. And that brings us to pens and pencils. Over the years I have sold many pens and pencils, another small item that's easy to photograph, easy to ship, etc. And some of them are super collectible. There are all different kinds of pens and pencils that are collected. Ballpoint pens, felt tip pens, drafting pens and pencils, artists' pens and pencils, fountain pens, the list goes on. Here is a small stash of pens and pencils that I have ready to sell. I was looking through these for something to sell this week when I discovered this Parker pen. The Parker brand is characterized by the arrow-shaped clip, but this one has an extra special feature. I noticed it has a logo on the top that we mentioned last week, John Deere. So this one will be collected both by Parker pen people, try saying that really fast, and by the John Deere people. So I have it up for auction this week. So let's say you're out at a sale looking for pens and pencils. If you're lucky, you might find one of these Cartier backgammon pens pens, whatever that means, it's worth about $2,800. But it doesn't even have to be old. For example, this Montblanc 2015 JFK pen sold for $2,300. Granted, it originally sold for $3,800, but if you found one at a yard sale for $10, would you be complaining? More likely, you'll be able to find something a little more common, like a Papermate. Papermate is very collected, and they're easy to recognize, characterized by the two black hearts on the clip. Or you might find a specialty pen or pencil used by an engineer or an artist, such as this one shown here. Well, that wraps up this week's discussion. If you found this interesting, I would encourage you to subscribe, because there is a lot more where that came from. And a big shout out and thank you to those of you who have already subscribed. It really means a lot to me. So until next time, be good to each other, and I'll see you then.